believe, you ask yourself, well, how is this serving me? Is it serving me well? How does what I believe show up in my life? Is it showing up in my life as a blessing? Is it showing up in my life as an energy, as a power, as a presence? Because that's what belief is. It's an energy, it's a power, it's a presence, it's a force. If it's boding well with me, and if it's working well for me and through me, and if it's the cause of me advancing and flourishing and thriving and making a difference wherever I am on the good side of life, then that's it. That's great. It's a super belief. It's a great belief. Keep believing it. Keep believing it. So our first challenge is to get clear about what it is that we believe. What do I believe? Because what I believe is producing the experiences in my life. What I believe, my set of beliefs, my belief system is the foundation of my life. The beliefs that I entertain are the building blocks that build the experiences of my life, and I better be certain sure that what I'm building is great and good and grand indeed, and something I want to behold and say, it's good, it's very good, what I am building, this thing called my life. And it is my beliefs that build my life. So the first thing is to know what you believe. For me to know what I believe, and then the second aspect of the belief system, because this thing called consciousness has a Trinitarian component to it, it's a triad. Attached to my belief, there has to be faith. I decide what I'm believing, and then I have absolute faith in it. I place absolute faith in what I believe. I believe it is done unto me as I believe, and I have absolute faith in that. And then the third component is I must trust its creative process. I must trust it. I must trust my belief and the faith I have in it. So those are the keys, the initial keys to the kingdom. The first one being belief, faith, trust. And they're all interrelated. And if I have a power consciousness filled with belief system that I can absolutely have faith in and trust its creative process, I am unstoppable. Unstoppable. Because of that amazing grace that exists in it all, and is shot through it all. And it is the power and the presence of the Spirit of the Creator of us all that imbues us with this capacity. Now, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are or mine, and what situations we find ourselves in, or how we've been until now, how bad behaved or beautifully behaved we've been. It doesn't matter at all how that's all playing out. If I decide right here and right now to scrap all of that, to scrap the belief in myself as not being enough, not having enough, not measuring up, etc., etc., etc. If I decide to scrap that and entertain a new idea, I absolutely can. If I want to remind myself of how the Creator sees me, how my source sees me, if I want to believe as my Creator believes, then my whole life can be transformed, and I can transcend any conditions, circumstances, situations in any past history. I can render my past history null and void when I come into a conscious awareness now, in this moment, of the truth of my being. And how does Spirit see me? Always and ever, no matter what my shenanigans are, Spirit sees me as good and very good. Well, how can this be so? Because Spirit can only be aware of the truth. Spirit can only be aware of what is good. Spirit can only see what is complete and what is whole. And here's the kicker. There exists a place, there exists a state where you know yourself as healed, whole, healthy, and complete. There exists that state, always has, is in existence now, and always will be, where you can find yourself, recover yourself by remembering yourself. And to understand that a bit more fully, you've got to go back to the ancient teaching that we've had, well, before 6,000 years ago. It came into really understanding and awareness by many. That time exists, as we understand time, in two ways, on two levels. There's horizontal time, and then there's vertical time that I call no time. Now, horizontal time has two aspects to it. It can go forward and it can go backwards. You can go forward and reverse in horizontal time, because there's no such thing as the present moment in horizontal time. Because the moment that is now is past already. The moment that is to come is to come. Then it comes and it's past already. It comes, it's past already. So where do I find presence? Where do I find now? Where do I find the everlasting now and the universal present moment, the sacrament of the present moment? Where do I find that? And you look at your life and see how it is. Or it's either back or forth. Rarely do we pause in the center to be able to remember ourselves, recover ourselves, etc. In vertical time, life is existing in levels and layers and zones and states. Many, many levels, many, many states, many, many layers, many, many levels. Some people call these parallel universes, or universi, whatever it is. Parallel existences. Now, in one of those layers, you know yourself as unified, as realized. You know yourself the way your Creator knows you and sees you and acknowledges you. So in that layer, you are healed, you are whole, you are healthy, you are complete, you are well. And it's given to you and it's given to me to find that layer, to go to that layer, to discover that layer. But in order to do that, we must remember the ancient teaching too of the Essenes that says, 3 are the buildings. 3 are the dwelling places of the sons and the daughters of God. 3. And these 3 are thought, feeling, and emotion. And for peace to be realized and God to be realized, peace must be attained in each of the 3. Peace of thought, peace of feeling, peace of emotion. Then and only then will the body know peace and the soul be realized. 3 are the dwellings of the sons and daughters of God. And your belief system swirls around thought, feeling, and emotion. So you and I are called to make sure that the thought and the feeling and the emotion that you and I are experiencing are producing that which is good and very good, are assisting and supporting a healthy state of being, an abundant state of being, an integrated state of being. And that's our job. It's to keep the mind, the emotion, and the feeling healthy. Now, Ernest Holmes says in one of those chapters, the day is going to come when you'll find yourself sitting down by the roadside, tired, weary of the struggle. And then you'll be ready to listen deeply and to hear. And what you will hear is, you are on the path. Follow it. You are on the path. Follow it. And he says that when you and I come to that point in time wherein everything that goes forth from us we are delighted to receive back in return, we have entered heaven. For only peace can beget peace, and only love can beget love. And so what we're sending out, because of the law, will always return to us. And when you and I are happy that what we're sending out will return back to us, and not only return back to us, but multiplied, pressed down and running over, then he says we've entered heaven. These are the things that you and I get to think about and ponder this week. What do I believe? What do I ponder on? What fascinates me? What draws my attention? What creates my emotion and my feeling? Because that is producing the experiences in my life. And if I don't like the experiences I'm having in my life, then I need to go to thought and examine it and see what I'm believing and change it if it needs changing, so that the feeling can change and the emotion can change, and that all that I am can work together as a solid, unified force of being and produce the kind of life that I'm here to experience and to express. A life that's good and very good, you see. To get there, to send out forth from me everything that I would love to have come back at me, I need to be still. I need to be quiet so that I can know what in heaven's name I do believe. And why I'm feeling, and emoting the way I'm emoting. I need to be able to sit with that and look at that, and for that it takes quietude. I can't be always doing this, and always doing this, and always doing this, and always doing this. It's not going to come that way. Everything shuts down on the outside for me to become alive on the inside, awake, alert, and receptive to that which is grand and glorious and magnificent and great, which is the great self of myself, spirit, infusing itself in and through and by means of this, its instrument. Remember, you're here as an expression of spirit, and so am I. We are here as aspects of divine being in human form. We are here to be what we can be, which is great and grand and glorious and wondrous. But let me tell you, it's very, very difficult to raise your eyes to heaven when all the eyes around us are firmly fixed on the ground. It's very difficult to raise your sights high up into a sense of well-being and oneness and a sense of belonging amongst us all, you know, when all around us are just interested in fame and fortune. So what's it going to be, my dear ones? Where are you just now? Where am I? Where are we in this process? Have we finished all this stuff of collecting and gathering stuff and things? Are we finished with that, or do we still have more to go there? Because if you really do feel that stuff and things are going to do it for you, for God's sake, work heartily at getting all that stuff and things so that you can realize, oh gosh, no, it's not stuff and things. But put your whole mind to it. Gather as much as you can gather. Get as much as you can get. Stuff yourself with whatever it is you feel you have to be stuffed with in order to feel good about life and living and yourself in it. Whatever that is, go to it. Put your shoulder up against it. Do it seriously. And more quickly then when you realize, no, it's not about that. It really isn't. Many of us here are in the process of letting go of all the stuff and things. And the beautiful yard sale gives us that opportunity every year. I see people hauling in bags and bags and bags and bags weighed down by them, you know, and they're, you know. And as soon as it's all done, they become light. They become light, they're delighted, their faces light up, as if something great and grand and glorious has happened, and it has. They've released themselves from stuff and things, you know. As one day I will, when my garage gets emptied. And it's not that I don't want to give the stuff and let it go. I had to find the time in order to, this is the sorting, you know, it's the sorting. That's the kicker. But I'll be happy and glad when that happens. I'll be like those people who carry in their loads, you know, feeling way down at the time, and then when it's all done, free at last, great God Almighty, my garage is free at last. You know, my brother always used to smile when he came here on his first visit, and he'd say, gosh, you know, he said, I've noticed around here that people stuff their garages with a whole lot of stuff and leave their beautiful cars out on the street. And he says, it makes no sense to me. So, the more you can look how we feel when objective things, material things we release from our lives. Can you imagine how we would feel if we went into the clutter of our minds, the clutter of our thoughts, the clutter of our emotions, and was able to free up all of that clutter? You could walk on water, I'm sure of it. And so could I, if we could succeed in doing that. And you know what? We can. Why is that? Because we are the image. We are the likeness of our Creator. Born in the image. Spirit himself, Spirit says, it is written in so many books, not just ours, but in so many books it is written, I have placed a compass within you, a guide that you can follow. I have set myself within you. I have put my own spirit within you. Your greatest gift that you were ever given is the gift of yourself. And why is that? Because with it came the gift of self-determination. Self-determination. You are the captain of your fate. You are the master of your own soul. You are. Nobody else can take that away from you unless you agree with it and go along with it. No one. You are self-bound, self-determined, self-made. You are a I often hear men saying, I'm a self-made man. Well, so are we all. Self-made. The small self of us is made by ourselves. The great self of us was made by our Creator, the provider of our good, the sustainer of our lives, the lover of our souls. So we need never worry about that being in place and all of that taking care of us. That's going to happen. It is happening. Our worries are around ourselves and our small selves, which is our ego self, our human self. That's what's self-made. So you can be anything you want to be. Become anything you want to become. Thinking makes it so. Remember the great bard himself, Willie, said, there's nothing good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. Thinking makes everything so. Now, because we are called to a higher teaching, be ye perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect, because we are called to a higher teaching, we get to see the sacred in everything and in everyone, the good, the bad, the indifferent. The sacred is in the midst of it all, and you and I get to perceive that, but only through the eyes of spirit, through the eyes of your great soul, your great self. Can you see the sacred in it all? Now, seeing the sacred in all doesn't mean you have to condone or come into agreement with it. It just means you get to bless it. You get to bless the sacred in everything, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. You get to bless because you know that the sacred is in the midst of it. God is in the midst of it. Why is that? Well, because of omnipresence. Now, omni is omni. It's either omni or it's not omni. You can't be a little bit of omni, no more than you can be a little bit of pregnant. You either are or you aren't, you know. So omnipresence tells us God is in the midst of us all. And if that was so, we would be bound down before, if we had that consciousness, we would be namasteing everything and everyone, because we would be recognizing God in it all, the sacred in it all. And we would be knowing that person, though they are demonstrating ugliness and terribleness, doesn't know who they are, but I do, and I bow to the God within them. And I will effect life much more powerfully in so doing than ever in chastising or forming judgment or condemning, by knowing what that person yet hasn't awoken to. I know who you are, I know what you are, and I know whose you are, and it's not this. So I bow to the God within you. There was a time when I would be down Skid Row for whatever reason, and I would see people lying in the gutter, you know, the brown bag and so on and so forth, and I would pity them, and I would be sad, and I would, be feeling so badly. Now I don't do that. I look at that bundle of rags and I say, I know who you are, I know what you are, I know whose you are, and it's not that. Namaste. That does more for that person than my pity ever could. That does more for life than pity ever could. I know who you are. My gosh, can you imagine when somebody is enraged before you, spewing all kinds of stuff at you, and you go into that quiet, still state, and you have this benign smile on your face that's saying, I know who you are, I know what you are, and I know whose you are, and it's not this, but I will bow to the truth of your being. Can you imagine how life would be, especially when you begin under your own roof? That's the biggest challenge of all. Under your own roof in your own home, to interact with those people that are your blood relatives at that level of understanding and awareness and knowing. But more than that, when you get down on yourself, when you're disappointed with yourself, when you are absolutely fed up with yourself and you say, that's it, I'm not trying anymore. If you can look in that mirror and say, I know who you are, I know what you are, I know whose you are, and I will namaste the truth of your being. And if you can believe it, have absolute faith in it, trust the creative process through it, I'm telling you, you can mend, you can heal, you can fix anything that crosses your path, because it's not you doing it, it's the power, it's the presence of the Spirit itself within you that's doing the work by means of you. All you have to do is surrender to it, deliver yourself to it, give yourself up to it, have absolute faith and belief in it, and trust its creative process moving through you. Are you willing to join me in this journey this week? Yes. Well, for heaven's sake, get the book, because you'll forget during the week. And if every night you read a page or two, they're very short chapters, 2 chapters, 3 and 4, and that will keep you glued together in this awareness of something greater than yourself, your small self, in your awareness of how potent and powerful you are out in the world, so that you could show up as a blessing and bless every living thing, even sometimes if it's through gritted teeth, but you bless. So we're on then for this week to look at our beliefs, to look at what we believe in, to look at what we have faith in, and to allow the creative process to have its way with us in a beautiful way. Yes? Yes. All right, so we're ready and we're all committed and we're agreeing to it. And I'm accepting your yes, and I'm saying it is so, and so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.